In this video, I want to share with you guys an interior maintenance detail and customer of mine, show you guys my exact maintenance process, and then compare that to my regular detailing process so you understand what I'm subtracting from my regular detail process to actually make up my maintenance process, okay? So without getting into the business of maintenance detailing, let's just take a look at what I'm doing here. You guys can see that I'm not scrubbing any of these door panels with a magic eraser or a scrub pad or anything like that. The only thing happening is I spray my microfiber towel with the all-purpose cleaner that I'm using, and then I wipe down very simply and very quickly that door panel. Then I take a dry detailing brush, like you guys can see, and I just dust out the buttons, and I dust out the little pockets or cup holes or anything like that. And I might even take a toothbrush to just brush the kind of sides where the dust builds up in between those buttons out, and then that's it. And so to compare that to my regular detailing process, in my regular detailing process, like I could do anything from use a detail brush to scrub and agitate the cleaner. I could use a non-abrasive scrub pad. I probably would break out a magic eraser if it's a car that's pretty dirty, and I would be scrubbing and then finishing with my steamer. So one of the things that I want to highlight here as you see me finishing this door panel is the lack of liquid or chemical or water that I'm introducing into the equation. This is one of the ways that my maintenance interior process has become so quick. There's kind of these big dominoes that when you take them out, it speeds you up a ton. When I don't have to implement a steamer, I don't have to implement a lot of chemical, I don't even have to implement, like a scrub pad. I'm not introducing a bunch of stuff that I have to mop up, and because I can deal with things in a dry way, it makes it very, very simple. Now, I think this is a good learning moment here. You guys can see I am using the magic eraser on these little plastic running boards that kind of separate the inside from the outside of the car with those rubber seals that make the door watertight. The reason is because those areas, even on a maintenance detail, still get scuffed up because people drag their feet over it. So it's still super easy to clean, right? There's not a bunch of dirt I have to get past, but I just use the magic eraser so that I can get rid of those tiny little scuff marks. Now, moving into the interior and the dashboard, this is going to be super, super straightforward because the dashboard pretty much does not change with any vehicle. The only thing that I have to worry about is the different manufactured dashboards where they've got different intricacies and things like that I have to work around. Now, moving into the steering wheel, again, what I want to highlight here is that I'm going to use my toothbrush to scrub some of the stitching area that I can see specifically where the dirt is, but I'm not going to be scrubbing the entire thing. I'm only hitting where I can see a little bit of that dirt buildup because I see this car about once every 90 days, and because of that, I'm just hitting the dirt, nothing else. Now let's move to the radio buttons and kind of down to the console. This is one of my favorite parts of the interior maintenance process because it takes no time. Again, I'm using a small, kind of thin detail brush that I keep dry, and then I spray a tiny bit of cleaner on my microfiber towel, and then you can see, like, watch what I'm doing in the video. I'm just barely dusting with my brush, then I'm going over with no serious agitation with my microfiber towel. I'm going to do the same exact thing to the entire console here, right? I'm just dusting around it, taking a tiny toothbrush to the areas that I know are dirty or that I have to use a little bit more force or get a little bit more specific to pull the dirt out, but that's it. I'm not introducing steam, not introducing a bunch of water, a bunch of chemical, nothing like that. And so in theory, I can probably get through this entire interior with one single microfiber towel, maybe two because I'll separate a different towel for the carpets. But you guys get my point, right? Everything stays so dry. And so the details become getting into these hard to reach areas and dusting those things out. Now, as I move to the back door panels, there's a couple things to highlight. Number one, there are entire areas of the driver's side that I actually don't even touch in a maintenance detail like this. So, for example, one of those might be, I call it the plastic housing where the seating sits. So the buttons that move your seating up and down, often when I'm down there cleaning the running boards, I will clean that area too. I don't even touch it in a maintenance detail. There's no reason to. When I move to the back door panels, you guys can see these are even easier than the front door panels, particularly in this car because of the way those door panels are manufactured. The back doors are a little bit simpler. There's a little less like texture, a little less pockets or fewer pockets. But the other thing is that nobody sits back here, okay? So this particular client doesn't have any kids who ride back here or anything like that. And so all I have to do is very simply wipe it down and move on with my life. So when I'm cleaning the backs of these leather seats or even the back of the console area, I'm going to use a little bit of chemical here because I clean this area maybe 3 or 4 times or once every 3 or 4 times. But other than that, I actually don't touch it. it, okay? I move to the next door panel. Same exact approach. Nothing is going to change. Not going to introduce a steamer or anything like that. Just going to wipe everything down and move on with my life. Going to move to the interior after this door panel, get the dashboard side of the passenger seat, as well as kind of the sides of the console that sit between the seat and the console themselves. And then I'm just going to dust out where I see a little bit of dust here and there. Now I just want to highlight here. You guys can see how a interior detail like this can start to scale very quickly, because let's just do a thought experiment and say you have 8 of these details per day. Each one of these details costs $100. It takes about 45 to 55 minutes to complete. And so let's just call it an hour. So let's just pretend like you work an 8-hour day, 1 hour per car, 8 hours, and you're making $100 per car. That's an $800 day with maintenance clients alone. And so the constraint of that system is, of course, your ability to generate leads and put them into a maintenance client funnel where they actually do become people who want their car detailed on a regular basis. But assuming that that's a non-issue just for the thought experiment, you guys can see my point here. The reason why I talk about maintenance clients like this is because of what you're seeing. You can see my process. I'm not even breaking out a hose for the door jambs. I'm using my steamer to rinse the door jambs because they're already so clean, I barely need any water to do this, right? And so as I call it centralize and systematize my process, I can then begin to scale that process. And so to take kind of a business perspective here, because a lot of you guys own businesses who are watching this video, the difficulty in the detailing industry when you own a small detailing business is that often detailers are tailoring their services to each individual client. And so when they hit a certain income or a certain point in their business, they hit this cap where they're like, I don't know how to get past this because number one, let's just pretend like lead generation is not an issue and you have plenty of customers. Well, if that's not an issue, the issue becomes the way you are detailing. And so if you make a custom suit for each person who comes into your, tailor shop, then you're only going to be able to take so much business because each one is so custom. So the question that I always ask is, which part of this can become cookie cutter and which part of this cannot, okay? And so a lot of detailers kind of get offended by that, or they're like, oh, that's not real detailing. And the reality is, yes, it is, right? This is just building a business in a way that we know is going to work inside of the detailing world. So we have to start to say, okay, how can we systematize things? How can we create like these simple categories of processes where it's like, this is how I approach this car every time, or this is how I approach this part of the car every time with subtle nuances based on the type of car that I'm dealing with. And so, for example, in a maintenance client, one of the ways that I do a maintenance detail is I just use my steamer to rinse the door jambs. I'm not breaking out water. So not only do I not have to set up water or bring water, okay, so that saves a ton of time right there, but secondly, I don't have to deal with all of that stuff getting wet, okay, and it's far quicker to use way less water. Okay, what you guys see me doing here on the carpets is the same thing. Other than the driver's side, which is always going to be dirtier because the person driving the car is always in the car, I'm not taking out the floor mats. So what you saw previously was that I shampooed over the floor mats without removing them. This is another cookie cutter moment of a maintenance client detail. That's why I do it this way, because number one, underneath those floor mats are not dirty. They don't need to be shampooed, so there's no reason to do that. But number two, it systematizes, centralizes the process. I can take this approach to each detail I'm doing. If it's a maintenance client that falls within a particular time frame, it saves me a crazy amount of time and I don't have to think about it. One of the things that keeps detailers slow is the fact they're having to make decisions about each part of the detailing process. In a maintenance client like this, in an interior, I'm not making decisions. The decisions are already made before I get there. I know exactly what I'm going to do. So in some sense, my brain can go on autopilot and just start working. I don't have to worry about the fact of looking under the floor mat or trying to figure out, what am I going to do here? How am I going to do it here? The reality is I already know what I'm going to do because it's already decided. It's already being paid for by the customer. This is the service that they get. This is the type of car it is. Boom, move on with my life, right? Now, of course, like I said, there are certain areas that have to be tailored, which are things like the driver's or the passenger side sometimes have to be removed depending on how dirty they are. If they are not that dirty, of course, I can take the same exact approach. The same thing you're going to see with the leather seats. The driver's side is a leather seat that I'm cleaning more intensely than I would any of the other seats. All I'm going to do with the other seats is use my microfiber towel that is dampened with cleaner and literally wipe them down really, really quickly, blow out the steams or dust out the seams with my detailing brush. The only leather seat that I'm cleaning this way is the driver's side seat. And then finally, guys, I'm just going to take an interior protectant or a multi-purpose dressing or even like a spray wax like Meguiar's Synthetic Express Spray Wax or Technician's Choice, and I'm going to take it all around the interior, including the leather seats, to make sure that I leave some sort of protection on the interior for the next time that I see this maintenance client, because part of the reason why it's so easy to clean is because I always leave a protectant, okay? And so just spoiler alert here, sometimes I have maintenance client vehicles that are so clean on the interior already, I don't even do a cleaning first. So the first 35 to 40 minutes is not even spent cleaning. It's actually just taking a multi-purpose dressing to the entire interior because the car is driven so rarely and it stays so clean. And so the multi-purpose dressing takes off the dust and it also leaves a protection behind. So it's kind of a 2-in-1 approach. That's not this time, but that is many times. So I always leave an interior protectant left on the door panels, on the seats, on all those areas, because it makes my life so much easier even next time. And guys, that is how you systematize and centralize using an interior maintenance detailing process to actually scale your business, or at least to start to think about how to scale your detailing business. So guys, I'm going to leave links to the products and tools that I suggest for a job like this in the YouTube description box below. And if any of you guys are interested in starting your detailing business or growing your detailing business, I've got a free training that I'll link up in the YouTube description box below that I just keep up for people who want somewhere to start, who are confused. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. And from Luke here at Wilson Auto Detailing, keep working hard, and remember, a great detailer is always learning. And I'll see you guys in the next video.